Morning all, third time lucky, eh? Both in the number of episodes and my attempts to record this particular video, because I'm really not very good at all this, and I appreciate you bearing with me. Anyway, I promised I wouldn't wait another 3 months before I did an episode. I did try and keep that promise. It's been a week or so. So I'm back with another edition of Random Page from Random Book. This is still within the old book garage, not Farage Garage, or the Farage Garage, or however you wish to pronounce Farage or Garage, but my garage, which I have full of books, and from where I do my Random Page from Random Book recordings. I'm going to confess in advance I have cheated a little bit today in that I haven't entirely picked the book at random. Well, I have picked the book at random, but not the author. A friend of mine has a new title released today, and I must admit I thought it would be a nice boost if I did or perhaps arguably a detriment, if I did a video of some of his other work. I did though pick the previous title of his at random, so I'm still, I feel, within the ethos and spirits of Random Page from a Random Book. And those of you not familiar with it, and why would you be? Because I've only done a few of these, I'm terrible at them, and I don't really know what I'm doing. The basic principle of Random Page from Random Book is exactly what it says on the tin, or exactly what the fat guy says in his garage. It is about me picking a book at random, cheated a bit on that one, but anyway, we'll let it pass, flicking to a page at random and reading it to you with a complete lack of any sort of preparedness, if that's a word. I'll be stuttering over words, I'll be squinting incessantly because, again, I've left my reading glasses somewhere else and really can't read very well without them. And we'll enjoy that experience together. It's as if we're sitting in a cosy fireside chair, glass of scotch, rum, coffee, tea, whatever is your particular beverage of choice, by the side, a roaring fire, rain outside, and a good book with us, and I will read one page of it with you, or arguably to you. And hopefully from there, it'll be mostly indie authors, indie publishers that I'm doing these reviews for as and when I do them. There might be a few mainstream ones pop in now and then, but predominantly indie. And hopefully then, if you like the page, and you'll think, well, that's a very interesting page, I'll go out and purchase a copy of this author's fine wares. And arguably, you might not like the page, in which case I would urge you to go out anyway and buy this author's wares, or borrow them from the library, etc. And experience a new author, enjoy it, because what does one page tell you? It gives you a little snippet, little insight, but it doesn't tell you the whole story, so go out and get the whole story. Anyway, enough with me waffling, there'll be plenty more of that to come. Today's book is The Rock by the spectacular and splendid Robert Daws, who you may very well recognise from stage, screen and trumpet playing over several millennia. Anyway, this is there's a little story about this in itself. This is the first edition, it was printed 2012, with the first edition of the Rock novella that Robert wrote back at that time. It was subsequently slightly expanded, republished along with its sequel Poisoned Rock, when Bob moved to a new publisher, and it's also, again, it's going to be now re-released. Bob's publisher is releasing today the long-awaited and eagerly anticipated, and any other superlative you can think of, third instalment of this series, Killing Rock, which I'm very, very much looking forward to. There is also available a short story, I forget its title, I do apologise, but it is a rock ghost story of sorts. I do apologise, Bob, I don't have the title to hand, I'm getting very old now, and my tired old brain doesn't store these things. But please do look it up. Look at Bob's website on the intraweb, and find out his work for yourself, because they're very exciting stories. Essentially, murder mysteries with the Gibraltar police force, as you can probably tell from the picture. That's the Rock of Gibraltar, and the Rock, of course, is the nickname for the place. So, I want to read a bit of the blurb, and then we'll find a random page. Exciting stuff, eh? So, The Rock, Gibraltar, 1966. In a fading colonial house overlooking the Straits of Gibraltar, the dead body of a beautiful woman lays dripping in blood. The steel handle of a knife protrudes from her chest, its sharpened tip buried deep within her heart. Shift to The Rock, present day. Detective Sergeant Tamara Sullivan arrives on the Rock on a 3-month secondment from the London Metropolitan Police Service. Her reasons for being here are not happy ones, and she braces herself for a tedious and wasteful 12 weeks in the sun. After all, murders are rare on the small, prosperous and sun-kissed sovereignty of Gibraltar, and catching murderers is what Sullivan does best. It is a talent Sullivan shares with a new boss, Chief Inspector Gus Broderick of the Royal Gibraltar Police Force. He's an old-fashioned cop who regards his new colleague with mild disdain, but when a young police constable is found hanging from the ceiling of his apartment, Sullivan and Broderick begin to unravel a dark and dangerous secrets that will test their skills and working relationship to the limit. Now, I must admit, I fell in love with this book almost instantly as soon as I read it, and its sequel. Poison Rock is a fantastic tale of espionage and some historical shenanigans in Gibraltar, which I very much urge you to read. In some respects, I suppose you could call it a typical two-cop dynamic going on, but I think in many ways it's not typical, because there's a real level of emotional intelligence in the characters. I think it's Broderick, yes, whose personal life is touched on and described in very simple but very emotional terms. I remember there's a few beautiful scenes in this first book that describes Broderick's home life and some of his family circumstances. And I quite clearly remember actually having a tear in my eye when I read them, because they're so beautifully and so normally described. I know it's a very strange way of describing it, but it's true, and hopefully when you read it you'll find the same. But anyway, enough of me waffling. There's plenty more of that to come, I'm sure, in the future. Right now, let's find a random page from here. Well, wouldn't you know it, I've started here. So rather than read a random half page from a random book, I'll start on this page. So this is page 79. Apologies in advance for my awful reading skills. "He was a friend of yours, wasn't he?" Broderick asked. Calvert nodded his head. "Why don't you bugger off? Leave this myth to me and Sullivan." "Thanks, Gov, but he was my mate. I feel I should..." Calvert could not finish. He was clearly moved. "Understood," Broderick sympathised. "At least stay out here." Calvert pulled himself up. "I'll do my job, Gov. Thanks anyway." Broderick nodded, and both men entered the building. A moment later they were in Bryant's apartment and moving through into the living room. Music was playing from somewhere in the apartment, a melody Broderick recognised from decades back. Electric Light Orchestra, Supertramp, something like that. Entering the living room, the sight before him, although expected, still managed to shock. Bryant's lifeless body hung from the ceiling. His legs swung in limbo over a fallen chair as the breeze came in through an open window. The police photographer was at work, recording the grisly image. Broderick noticed that the rope around Bryant's neck had been looped over a large hook in the ceiling, then fed back to the bedroom door, where it had been tied off and secured around the handle. My word, I sure know how to pick him. Well, that was a powerful page. As you can probably tell, it fits in with, it gives a very clear indication of what the bloke was alluding to. That was one of the pages from the first Rock story. As I said, there is a new copy out today, so if you look online you will probably find lots of advertisements for it. I think it's Hobeck Books who are publishing this third instalment and republishing the other two instalments in Bob's series. Give them a try. They're fantastic reads. They really genuinely are. Gibraltar is such a unique setting for a crime thriller. I wouldn't say think Death in Paradise, only a different location, because it's a lot more intense than that. The emotional depth is there, and the series quality is there. So please do enjoy. I will endeavour to be back with a slightly more random page from a random book at another time. Meantime, etc., etc. I'll learn how to do one of these one day. Enjoy the day. Ta-ta.